Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to give you an update about what's going on here in the Philippines as far as travel goes. Stick around. Okay guys, so there's been a lot of news that's been coming out lately and some things I wanted to clarify. Some people had some questions down in the comments and on my live stream earlier today. So the first thing I wanted to share, and let me go ahead and share my screen. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is diversion of international flights from Cebu to NAIA extended till June 12th. So let me go ahead and give you the backstory on that. So what happened is the governor here in Cebu, Governor Garcia, who I think is fantastic, and a lot of people like her here in the Philippines as well as all over. But what happened is she had changed the protocols to people arriving into Cebu from international. What was happening is instead of the 10 or 7-day quarantine that was going on in Manila, she had made it 3 days. In fact, I have not firsthand experience, but I know a married couple, American guy and his Filipino wife, who actually flew into Cebu, and they got a direct flight into Cebu, and they had a 3-day quarantine. Now, they did the test results came back in 1 day, and they were released after 1 day in the hotel. So this was going against what was happening over in Manila. On the IATF side, and the president did not like that. So the president, from my understanding, had a meeting with the governor and in a power play rerouted flights into Manila to put a stop to that, and that is now back to 7 or I think 10 days. I can't remember exactly. So that's what happened. That's what's going on with the Cebu thing. So there's a bit of a butting heads of governor and the president. You know who's going to win on that, of course. But the governor is very progressive here. She is not afraid to go ahead and make her own rules. I think she finds a lot of things ridiculous, and she had changed it on her own. Unfortunately, we see what has happened because of that. Now, this article, the information will be down in the description below. I'll go ahead and link that. Okay. Next up, we have, so the next up is the inbound international travel to any port in the Philippines of all fully vaccinated individuals who have been vaccinated in the Philippines shall be governed by the following guidelines. Now, they have to undergo a 7-day facility-based quarantine upon arrival, with the day of arrival being the first day. And what's going on with that is, what I believe is happening is, I think because of documentation, they have no way of really knowing how official this documentation is on people who got vaccines from other countries. And therefore, I think because of that, they're saying if you were vaccinated outside of the Philippines, then you have to do the full quarantine. And if you were vaccinated within the Philippines, you don't. I think that's probably what's going on there. Now, I don't know for sure. We'll have to see how that plays out. It seems kind of ridiculous if you weren't vaccinated in the Philippines, but let's see what happens on that. More information coming out. We have the Bureau of Immigration now. They did come out and say that the SRRB visa holders are allowed to entry, but what was happening is they needed an exemption documentation. And most people were not getting that. In fact, I don't think I know of anybody who actually got one. But now they're saying that you don't need that. Okay, so now you are now allowed into the Philippines if you have the the Special Resident Retirees Visa, SRRV. They're also taking new applications as well. Now, my understanding is that you have to get some of the required documents while you're in your home country, and then you actually have to apply while being in the Philippines. And I think that's still the case. And I think if you're in the Philippines, you might have to go back home to get your criminal background check. Again, I'm hearing from a few people that saying that's not the case. So I'm going to have to research that a little bit more and see what's going on. But that is good news, because if you do have the retirement visa, you don't need that exemption documentation. So that's good news there. I think things are starting to move in the right direction here, hopefully. Green lane tourism still up in the air. We don't know what's going on. No further news on that. Some of the cities are going backwards. Dumaguete is actually becoming a hotspot of COVID right now. And so I am glad I'm not in Dumaguete anymore. They're really cracking down over there. The hospitals are overloaded. So we'll see what happens in Dumaguete. So here's the bottom line. Right now, if you are a Filipino citizen, you can get to the Philippines. 2, if you're Balikabayan under RA 6768, only nationals from non-visa required countries, former Filipino or traveling with the Filipino former Filipino spouse parent, you can get into the country, no longer need the exemption. Foreign nationals with valid and existing visas, so the retirement visas, business visas, investment visas, work student visas, you can get in, and you no longer need the exemption documentation. Again, if you weren't quarantined, if you did not get the vaccine in the Philippines, you need to do a full quarantine upon arrival. And there's other things I believe you need. I believe you need a PCR test as well. If you got your vaccine within the Philippines, I do believe you have to quarantine, but it's for a lesser amount of time. But that is what's going on. Just a quick news update. No information on green lane tourism, what's going on, where it's headed, when it will be implemented. We don't know any of that yet. Anybody who comes out with any video saying otherwise, they're guessing, because we don't know. But we are slowly moving in the right direction. I know people want the gates to just open up. Here's my personal opinion. I think the flights, when they do open up, there's going to be a couple of restrictions. One, you're going to have to quarantine, because most people will have been vaccinated outside of the Philippines. And you'll still have to do a minimum quarantine, or maybe a full quarantine. 2, probably only so many people will be allowed into the country every day. 3, probably will be restricted to certain vacation areas, perhaps Bohol, Cebu, Palawan, Boracay. We don't know yet, but that's probably what's going to happen. They're probably going to start off with different areas. I don't know how strictly they can enforce that. I don't know what will happen. I don't know. Currently, or before, you could fly into the Philippines with no visa, and upon arrival, you would get the visa upon arrival for 30 days, no visa required. If you're going to be here less than 30 days, you didn't need any visa. You could fly in, fly back out. That's it. Now, when this starts, there's probably going to be some kind of forms and acceptance letter and all kinds of other stuff that you're probably going to have to get before you can just get over here. You probably can't just fly in and that's it. I don't know. We're going to find out. Let me know what your thoughts are and opinions down in the comments below. If you found this video useful, please consider sharing. Hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell notification. That way you are updated every time I come out with a new video. Also, if you want further information, you want further videos that are exclusive to only Geo in the Philippines YouTube membership, click the join button under any of my videos today. Thank you so much. See you guys next time. Bye.
Wow. Come on, groove it over. I said, baby, I know you're on a roll. Sweet honey, let's take it real.